Does your season start Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
You excited?
I can't really do much because
Till Saturday?
work.
Yeah, so you hunt Saturday then?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Saturday.
You got birds on that corner camera, right?
Not anymore.
No?
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Gonna wait for Greg to introduce us today.
You want me to introduce us today? That's
Mhm.
bad.
Maybe you guys can flip a coin.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I don't want to do it.
Why not?
I should have warned you guys.
Welcome back to the Okayest Hunter podcast, where we do a great job of making this a shittier show than what it has to be.
Exactly what I was going for. Just teeing up turds.
Just
Go for that volley. What is that? A piece of poop? What kind of volleyball is this?
no matter what you do, no matter how hard you polish the turd, it's still a piece of shit.
What kind of podcast are we listening to here?
Well,
If you thought last week was bad, tune into this
tune
week's
into
show.
this week's show.
Tune in next week as we get worse. No, hey, welcome to the Okayest Hunter podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
We are brought to you by Half Rack, half-rack.com. Use code OHB, 15% off. We're going to be doing a giveaway with those guys in like the next 2 weeks. Keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a collective or combined effort. So there'll be some Okayest Hunter stuff and some Half Rack stuff. So stay tuned. I don't even know what we're going to do for that as far as like the, what's it called? Accoutrement? No, that's not the word I was looking for. Like the parameters or the terms. It's probably like tag someone and follow both pages.
Terms
or
and
something
conditions
like
apply.
that. Yeah.
Tag 18 friends.
See Okayest Hunter for details.
Mm-hmm. I got to talk with those guys a little bit more to figure out what that's going to look like, but it seems pretty straightforward. I always hate the giveaways that I don't do a lot of these giveaway things. We do not do a lot of them. I hate it when it's like tag 18 friends, share this post, like that thing, go to this website, leave a review.
And we're
It's
going to
like,
be watching for you to watch our video on YouTube.
jump
Follow
through
these
burning-
18 pages that
Yes.
are
Yeah.
affiliates.
shoot your bow at a target 200 yards away. And if you hit it, then you might be entered to win.
Well, I think we just decided the framework for this giveaway.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is. Make sure you do some jumping jacks in there too.
Okay.
It's got to be
Fair
at
enough.
least 100. No, so those guys are good friends. We are planning a turkey hunt actively with those guys. So we'll see where that ends up.
Yeah,
Excited to get their gear
details
in
to
the
follow
field.
on that.
This is my first real opportunity to get their gear in the field. Like we didn't ink the deal with them until like sometime in January. So there's not been a lot of hunt opportunity yet. But I have, like we've talked about the hunter hangers. I've got those things in the studio all over the place. What did you just get sent to? What do you have?
Damn it, I forgot our gunslings.
Oh, holy hell. It's okay. At least
You're gonna be borrowing
remember
my-
the headset. So.
You're going to be borrowing my gun anyway.
Yeah, so it's fine.
So
I used my half rack stool this past weekend,
You did?
not for hunting or fishing. I was changing the brakes on my car. It was
Hey.
like the perfect height. This is excellent.
That's good. Yeah.
So yeah,
Saves
it's comfy.
Saves your lower
comfy.
back some discomfort.
Yeah.
That's
a good
nice.
height. Very nice. We're also partnered up with Latitude Outdoors. So I think I mentioned like June-ish is when their carbon speed sticks are coming out. But of course, you can still outfit yourself with one of their saddles and platforms. So I know we're eager to get our hands on the platforms and the sticks, but we've been using the saddles for a couple hunting seasons now.
Yeah.
At least, right? 2.
Yeah, too.
You get their knee pads.
And they just came out with a new series, a YouTube series too. It's pretty educational. So check that out.
Is
Are you
that
talking about the
the
Jake Bush one?
Bush?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jake Bush is all over that.
The
so
In Sessions podcast.
yep.
Pretty good stuff they had on Greg Lutzinger for episode 1, talking about the salt flats. And
Yeah, and it's not a podcast. It's an actual informational video that they put on the YouTube channel.
Oh, well, they also have like a podcast version of it. So I know I was talking to Corey over there, and he's like, man, getting a podcast launched is a pain in the butt. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, I know all about that.
Those are two pretty darn informational people right there. I mean,
Yeah.
Jake Bush seems like a tactical phenom. Like he's very like
you guys would be buddies.
well, I mean, he's like
He's another level.
way another level. Like at 5:14, I will be approaching the hilltop, and like he has it dialed.
Yep.
And Litzinger is just a beast.
Yeah, Litzinger's awesome. And
also
he's
the-
also the kind of guy that will pick up the phone and talk to you in
Yeah.
person. He's like, dude, here's my number. Just call me.
I
Let's
see him
talk
at
about it.
trade shows, hanging out at the Latitude booth. It's always
Yep.
good to see him in person and catch up. He's got a little one, so we can jive on that whole thing. Anyway, so Latitude Outdoors, code OHB. I think it's latitudeoutdoors.com. Check those guys out. And they're doing a lot of great things. The video stuff, they got their own internal videographer, and they got like personalities. They're doing a lot of great stuff.
Yes, they are.
So more than just product, I think it's a whole. They have a good community that they're building.
Agreed.
Spartan Forge, we love ourselves some Spartan Forge. I listened to you on the East Meets West podcast with Bo Martonic, and there's no shortage of any opportunity to talk about that app on that episode.
Oh yeah,
Like talking about the LiDAR feature where you can strip away all of the like topographical imagery on what you're looking at, so you're really just looking at those topo lines, and it's like a really clean, like a bare butt version.
I still need to do that because like as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, it's actually probably a really smart thing to do. I
Yeah.
should probably go do the LiDAR.
Well, they have the journaling stuff. I mean, I'm not a big journaler in any aspect of my life. I know a lot of hunters do have like journals that they write in. So having that journal feature that can like carry over the weather data for that day, pictures, anything you want to note for historical reference. If you're really trying to pattern out things, I just don't know how to compile all that data for oneself. It just feels like,
I agree.
I don't know. The guys that do it that have a lot of data, good for you because you probably can pull out some insights. For me, it'd be like painting on a really, really big canvas and like, well, there's a red dot down there, there's a blue one up there. I don't really
It's
know.
minimalism.
Yeah,
beautiful. It's
like, I don't
beautiful.
know, yeah. Like the 2 times I journal, it's not gonna really be super valuable for me. But if that's what you like to do, they got a feature for that, and they're constantly putting out new stuff. I talked to Bill like a couple weeks ago. The amount of things on their product roadmap is like bewildering. I don't know how I don't know how they do it, but they make it seem easy. I know that's not the case. They just work really, really hard. But they listen to their customer feedback. I know you've been in a dev group with them, Greg, on some capacity, and it's like constantly getting feedback from people that are putting time in the field, and they're listening and applying things. And people will, even on our socials, like listeners of the show will say, hey, does Spartan Forge plug into the like the Apple or the Android navigation system for my car so I can just go to a pin? Because that's been a pain point. And he's like, yeah, it's on a roadmap, man. I'm like, no shit. So, and I know they'll get to it. They'll just knock it out at some point.
Yeah, it's all stuff that they're working on and continue to improve with.
Mm-hmm. We'll get a couple more. Method Archery. And I don't know. I've heard other podcasts and they do like the baked ads where it's like, Method Archery, the custom built archery shop. Custom built to your specs and delivered to your doorstep. Go to methodarchery.com and order your arrows today.
Have you done this before?
And I'm like,
It's pretty good.
we could just do that. We could do that, but I enjoy talking about it because there's usually something relevant going on. They're at TAC. They're on TAC tour.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you want to call it, but TAC is all over the place. Total Archery Challenge.
Isaac's got
colossal.
the camper hooked to the truck after he remodeled it and going to tech events.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the crew is back here doing their job, still like doing all the hardcore engineering on the stuff, making sure that the operations are running smooth, that they're getting arrows to people in a timely fashion. Like, this is the time to get your arrows dealt with, I think.
Yeah.
Like between now and August?
Yep.
And after that, it's cutting a little close. So if you want arrows built to your specs, custom built to your specs, based on your bow specifications, your specifications, like, it's a great solution. High quality arrows, high quality broadheads, and good customer service. These guys take care of their people. So I would stand behind that statement.
Yes.
Yeah. And go wild.
Oh, yeah.
I hate those guys. I'm kidding.
Seriously, guys, I hate you.
They're probably in the live feed right now. Fuck you, Eric. No, I've been posting quite a bit over there on our we have an OKS Hunter page on the Go Wild app. I also have my own personal, I think all of us do.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
And when you post, like, make a post, outdoor podcast, any one of the OKS Fisher, Upduck, OKS Hunter, if you post those, you get like points. That will still count as some activity you're doing. If you're out shed hunting and you log that as time, if you're out morel mushroom hunting or turkey hunting, you log that as time. And then if you actually get a turkey and you log a trophy, you get all these points, and then you can use that because they're a commerce platform. You can, go buy stuff. I would say you're better off shopping on Go Wild than you are like Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop or any big box store. They're rivaling the product count that those big like retailers have, but it's local guys in Kentucky. They're fulfilling the orders. They're sending stuff out. They're creating the positive atmosphere on a social platform that doesn't exist. So like if you're gonna buy something, if you're looking for something to buy, if you're just trying to like, if you got money in your wallet that's burning a hole, go wild for a little bit and check those guys out.
Or go post some pictures, log some time,
And then build up some
earn some
points
points
and get some
to
discounts.
help you buy some stuff for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. So all right, I'll stop talking about all the stuff. And maybe we'll do at some point I'll make a button to put in a professional ad where you can go buy stuffoutdoors.com, blah, 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 blah. Check out okshunter.com, where you'll find an assortment of the most okay gear there is, blah, 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 blah. All right, we got a guest with us.
It was good, blah, blah, blah.
I want to punch you in the face right now, but I won't.
You both want to punch me in the face right now. Do it. Go ahead and punch me in the face. You know what's good for elbow pain? Alex, do you know what's good for elbow pain? Welcome to the show.
He looked up when it sounded confrontational. He was ready for a show.
Yeah.
Welcome, buddy.
What's going on, guys? Good to be back.
We've had you on twice. Is this your third time on the show?
Three Timers Club.
This is the twice?
Second.
No way. I thought we had you on 3 times.
No, you had me on once, and this
I
is the
just talked to
second.
you enough.
Well, as OKS, but I think you were on with Where to Hunt too.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know.
This is your third time.
It's been a
Oh
while.
my God, Ricky.
I don't know.
So many times you guys can't keep track.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, can't keep
We're just
track.
So, how is life? Where are you from? Tell the listeners.
I'm from Newtown Square, Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Best city in the world.
City of Brotherly Love.
Exactly.
So, Pennsylvania's a big state. They have a really strong whitetail hunting heritage. Obviously, we just mentioned Derek was on the East Meets West podcast, and that's a PA locale podcast or centric podcast. They got a lot of mountain buck talk over there and stuff like that. I don't know, man. Like, what's the culture like in PA? I think it's pretty similar to Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken.
Culture for hunting is huge in Pennsylvania. There's a ton of hunters. So where I'm from, southeastern PA, it's how do I put it? There's not that many mountains. We call them residential bucks because you'll get, parcels of land that you could get a 30-acre farm, and then next to it, like at my house, could be a 300-acre farm, and it's all private land, which is very, fortunate to have. And you'll get some of the biggest bucks on the property if you can maintain it right. When you start going up towards, Penn State, you guys have probably heard the term, the Orange Army shows up, and good luck to you. That's all I got to say.
So where are you spending your time hunting by and large? Like bow or gun? What
I do.
Are you really kind of hanging on the southeastern part, or are you traveling a little bit?
For whitetails, basically southern Pennsylvania. I kind of stay in the area, and then I'll venture down to Maryland to one of my good buddies' outfitters, Nanacoke, and hunt eastern shore bucks with him. And then we have a camp. Well, Jimmy, the owner of Scent Assassin, has a camp in West Virginia where we go in the Allegheny Mountains for bear and whitetails, and that's a whole different world out there.
Yeah, I hunted the Allegheny National Forest when I was up there a couple of years ago for a day with Johnny Stewart and crew and Bo and all those guys with Spartan Forge, and it was really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it reminded me a lot of northern Wisconsin, but just a little bit more mountainous. But I had to walk back on a logging road. You couldn't drive past a certain point, and I really enjoy that. It did feel vast, but so you talk about. I want to talk about bears a little bit. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You killed bears last year. I know Derek's hunted bear. I think Greg's putting in tags or points for bear.
Yep.
And you're such a good cook. Like if anyone follows you on social, the mouth watering photos you're posting, and they're not like, it's not like you're like one of those foodie, Instagram accounts where you're like probably spending 5 hours making a fucking perfect photo, but the food looks genuinely really good and it's all wild game. So I want to talk about, how do you get a bear tag for Pennsylvania? Where do you go? What are you doing for prep? Like how did it go for you? You have 2 stories to share, and then I know someone like you're putting like the meat to good use.
Mhm.
So I'm curious about that. We talked about bear meat before and how it's greasy, but it's good.
Yeah, so the funny part is, so for Pennsylvania bear, you can once you get your PA license, you can buy the bear tag separate. It doesn't come with the license because in Pennsylvania, up in like Potter County, there's a ton of black bears. So down where I live, you really don't get the bear tag unless you have a property to go to. But to be honest with you, I've never killed a PA black bear. The bear behind me right there was from Monticello, New York. I got him 3.5 years ago. That was an exhilarating hunt. And then the other one that I have at the taxidermy, I actually killed last year in West Virginia, which was kind of unexpected in a way, but it was awesome at the same time.
It's cool, man. And that was bow or what?
Both bears I shot with a bow.
So how close were you to these bears?
So the one in Monticello, first time bear hunting, my buddy drops me off in the swamps, and it's 5 a.m. Climb into the tree, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of sketchy because I've never bear hunted before. And I was like, yeah, I was like, bro, this is sketchy, man. He was like, the worst part was at 4:30, a giant male walked right by the trail camera, and this thing was the size of a golf cart. I was like, oh, dude, you guys are killing me right now. And I look at my buddy Jacob, and I'm like, all right, I'm going up in that tree. He's like, yeah, you're going up in that tree, and I'll see you, once sunrise comes. So, like you guys, when you bow hunt, you sit down, and in new territory, what I like to do is you kind of scan the area and pick out certain things so like if something's out of place, it could be a deer, it could be a bear, it could be an animal. So sunrise broke. I'm sitting there, and out of the corner of my eye, I look down. I'm like, that black thing wasn't there like 5 minutes ago. It's like, nope, that's a bear. So started shaking. The bear came in at 30 yards, and he went up and we just grabbed the tree and was scratching his head, and then let it fly at 30 yards, double lunged him, and the bear actually climbed up a tree at like 50 feet and then let go and completely smacked the ground and was dead.
Holy crap.
That's intense.
It was weird.
Wow.
Very intense.
Like climbing the tree and falling back.
That's wild.
That must have shaken the earth a little bit.
It was
Holy crap. But it wasn't like you were like a lot of guys use like hounds or they're baiting or they're going with a guide. You just freaking climbed up. You just went up like, here, this is your tree. You're going to bear hunt. Did you like do any scouting or like how?
So yeah, the scouting was cool. So where my buddy lives in Monticello, he owns 100 acres, and it's all like swamp back there. And when you pull up his street, there's like a family camp where people will pay to go and spend like vacation there. And then there's the camp, all of his woods, and on the other side is another, like family resort and camp. Well, he was scouting so well that he noticed that the bears were using his woods as like a cut through because they were getting in the dumpsters there. So he planned it out where he was like, oh man, this bear is coming through at this time. This is coming in at this one. So yeah, he scouted out real good, and it worked out because the path looked like a giant highway. It was insane how torn up it was.
So you were just hunting a game path, no bait. You were relying on the travel route between essentially the dumpsters being the bait.
Yeah, yes, sir.
It's kind of nice. They're overgrown
Yeah.
trash pandas, huh, Greg?
Exactly.
Exactly. So that wasn't the bear you got this past season, right? This is a different story.
The West Virginia one was nuts. That was an awesome bear story. So drove 7 hours into camp to meet Jimmy. We filmed an episode for Scent Assassin. That morning we went out and we went hog hunting, which was some of the most fun I've ever had. And all 5 of us got hogs, And we took it back to camp. And the crazy part about camp is it's literally a one-room shack with mattresses. There's no running water. There's no electricity. Like, it's a true hunting camp, and there's no cell service there or whatever. So it was like 4:30, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go hang a tree stand up on this mountain right here." I said, "Dude, I'm not walking that mountain. We got to figure that out." And we took the four-wheeler up, took a tree stand, and hung the tree stand. And right as the sun's going down, he's like, "This is a good spot, man. I used to take my climber up here, and a bunch of deer used to cruise through here." So I was after deer originally. So the next morning we go up. I'm getting set up in the tree, and I got my camera set up, and it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going like this. I grab my camera to set it on the stand, and out of the corner of my eye, there's a buck coming down the trail. I'm like, oh, he's working the scrape. I might get a shot on him. Put the camera down, sit down, I'm watching this deer, and I hear this stick break behind me. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And I look down, and there's a bear looking right up at me. Came right over the backside of the mountain, stared at me, and I was like, holy shit, this is where did you come from? So bear looks at me, and I could tell it was a sow. So obviously, rule of thumb is if she has cubs, you're absolutely not. So I watched the bear for about a half hour. She came in under me, looked up, didn't really care, started eating, the natural acorns that fell down. And then I looked behind her, and she didn't have anything. So I took the shot at 20 yards, and bear ran down the mountain, and it took 3 hours to get her up.
Oh my God. Just like the drag itself was that
Nightmare.
terrible?
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
Bears absolutely suck to drag.
Yeah, man.
Like, just floppy jello weight. Like, there's no rack to grab onto. They are the worst to drag out.
Horrible. And
Yeah.
it was pouring rain that night too.
Ooh, yeah, that
Nice
doesn't
and
make
muddy.
getting up a mountain very easy, does it?
So
Nah.
you're gutting it first like you would a deer?
Yeah,
And then
and then start dragging and hope for the best, man. It like, there's nothing to grip. You just better pray to God and just
you
go.
putting it in a headlock? Like, what are you doing? Yeah, like, how are you?
Jimmy
like-
grabbed a paw. I grabbed a paw. We walked about 5 feet, and we're like, wow, we're really out of shape. And then, walked like another 25 feet, and I'm like, dude, this sucks. Like, go get the four-wheeler. So, like, luckily he had a rope. So we tied the rope around her back legs the last, couple hundred feet up the mountain. He just drug her right on up.
That's nice. I know with a buddy of mine from years ago, he got a doe, and he like sliced, I don't know what part of their leg, and like,
The back, right by
and
the
just
knee
stuck
there.
a stick through there, and we had handles on that doe from that. I was like, that's a pretty clever idea.
Doe handles.
Like, can you do that on a bear in any spot? Like, probably not, right?
Not really.
Not really.
So you don't
no.
have that big.
They got like a big armpit skin or something like that. That maybe you could do.
Yeah,
but
not
they'll
if
probably
you
just
want to
rip.
keep that as a bear rug. You're not going to be poking holes
a
in
good
that
point.
thing.
Yeah, so you just kind of got to deal. Maybe you just get like one of those sleds.
The best
jet
thing,
sled.
the sleds would work if you were in
Yep.
the right terrain for sure.
Mhm.
The first bear I shot, we were pretty close to this old metal ladder stand, and my buddy had a good idea. He's like, dude, let's take the bottom of the ladder stand out, and we'll use it like a gurney.
Perfect.
And that was actually the best idea ever, because then we didn't have to drag. We literally had like 3 guys, 1 guy in the front, or 1 guy in the back, 2 guys in the front, and we just carried the sucker out.
That's kind of nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you get pretty innovative when something's like a real big struggle, and suddenly you're like, you know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. Like, let's think about this a little bit, and suddenly you problem solve your way through it and whatnot. Sometimes you just got to grit your way through it though too, and just deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that I kind of like. That stuff sucks, but I also love that stuff. Those are the things that you will never forget. That's what like makes most of the story. That's why you said like, oh, the drag sucked, but it's super memorable, and it makes it so much more worth it in some way. You earn your keep on that hunt when you got to suffer a little bit. So I was wondering, like, going back deep in the woods with you guys in the swamp or wherever, I'm like, we got to drag something out of here, That's going to be hard. Greg watched me drag that buck, like, not far at all on a small parcel, and I was, like, dying. So,
Pretty normal, pretty common.
Good thing I brought the sled.
yep.
So
that
Alex,
helped.
was it pretty easy for you to switch gears from like, oh hey, check out this buck coming into my scrape to, oh, I'll just shoot this bear instead? Like, what did that buck do when you shot the bear?
that it just the bear was. I mean, it's crazy how quiet they are for such a big animal. It's truly amazing. But like, I was like more kind of like, do I want a bear? Do I want a deer? Do I want a bear? Do I want a deer? So I was like, oh, I'm just going to take, the bear because I'm in West Virginia. You know what I mean? We had still 4 more days to hunt whitetails. And my buddy said, dude, if you see a bear that's legal, take it, man. And it was cool, though. It wasn't like your typical, black bear. Like she had like all brown that went all the way around her eyes up to her ears. I mean, the bear was actually beautiful. So, yeah, definitely shot the bear, and then that buck took off and ran down the hill.
That thing just killed a bear. I'm out.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But you said well, you didn't know it was there until you heard that twig snap, and I've heard that about bears that they are virtually silent, like more
Yeah.
silent than a deer.
They're like ninjas, dude.
It's crazy because they weigh significantly more than a deer.
But they got a better
They
way
got
of dispersing the weight.
That's something, man.
Mhm.
I had another thought about that. So like with whitetail, I know a lot of us will like cook up the loins right away or whatever, right? Is there anything you're doing with a bear right away?
Making sure that meat stays cold, like constantly. Like we had a real nice Yeti, so quartered her up and then just poured bags of ice all over, and stayed another 3 days. Kept draining the ice out, making sure the meat was super super cold, which it was, and then got back to Pennsylvania and started slicing and dicing, vacuum packing, and putting it right in the freezer.
So what's the first meal you made out of that bear?
First meal I made out of that bear was chili.
Sounds like a good choice. That's a staple, right?
It was different. And the old lady was like, "What is this? This does not taste like venison." So yeah,
It's not.
That's a completely different world of wild game meat.
Did you use like cubed meat? Did you cube it or was it ground?
I actually took all like the excess pieces, took to my butcher, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll have it done for you in a day." And he ground it all up for me.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, what I found out is like you have to cut off all fat. Like every bit of fat needs to be off the meat.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the fat's what gives the meat a really weird taste.
Really?
And bear fat's very different. Like if you think of deer fat, it's like hard, chunky, white. Bear fat's like yellowish, soft. You got to get all that off. Otherwise, when you cook it, that's what makes your meat taste really weird.
But do you take it and render it and use it for anything else?
I did not.
This is not the Bear Grease podcast.
Well, I'm just asking.
But that is, I wouldn't mind talking about that. Like,
yeah, that's an
if that makes
interesting
your
thing.
meat taste weird, then like, what'd you say? Rendering it?
Yeah, you render it.
Like rendering. I'm thinking like digital stuff. Right,
Do people do that with bear fat?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So
my
bear
grandfather
fat,
did.
aka bear grease.
Yeah, I mean they'll use it to cook with. I mean they'll grease cookie sheets with it and bake with it. It all depends, I guess, on what the bear's eating. Like the last one my uncle shot up by his place, he said that he rendered some of it and cooked with it, and it had almost like a blueberry flavor to it. I don't know how you get blueberry out of it, but that bear was definitely eating a ton of blueberries. It's a September bear, so they ate a bunch of blueberries.
Interesting.
That's cool.
But I thought like fat is flavor. That's what I've been taught about like cooking.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, what flavor do you want? A good flavor or a bad?
But like in some cases, like having some fat going is like the gristle, right? Like
Yeah.
on a cow steak, you want that fat on there. It gives a good flavor, right? But I guess with a bear,
I don't know. That's just what
Everybody's got
experience.
Yeah, it's different. I think Alex took his and got it on ice right away, kept it really cold. But if the fat, it depends on what the bear's eating, and it's the same with. We've all had bad beef before too, where it just doesn't taste good. The gristle doesn't taste good, and depends on what they're eating.
Alex, did you make the ribs from your bear?
Oh yeah, those were delicious.
Bear ribs are awesome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, very good.
Did you smoke them or what'd you do?
Smoked them. I let them sit in pineapple juice with cut up jalapenos and garlic for 2 days, and then smoked them for 6 hours.
Damn.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the other bear story? There's an additional bear, right?
No, those are the two bear stories.
Those were both from last year. Got it. I see it. For some reason, I thought there was a third bear somewhere in there
No,
from a
I
different
wish.
time period.
Cocaine bear.
Yeah, we did
Cocaine
a
Bear.
Cocaine Bear episode. I saw the preview for that movie. It looks freaking awful.
Bad.
That looks terrible. I don't know. I bet you that bear would taste real weird.
Very exciting taste.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm pretty hyped here eating this bear. Anyone else feel funny?
How'd your deer season go?
Deer season went good this year. I'm actually keep looking this way because I shot a buck I was after for 4 years, and now he's finally hanging on my wall. So it was awesome. Kind of went like Eric's, had to drag him out of a creek, which was not fun at all.
Yeah, Greg wasn't there to make you do it twice, though. So
No, this was probably the funniest / surreal hunting story I've ever kind of told. So I basically got home from work late, and it was the last week of the rut. You could tell stuff was kind of coming down. So I ran into my backyard, and I had a tree stand about 70 yards off my house. So I ran in. I'm like, why not? I'm gonna give it a shot. Looking over a valley and a nice path from a field to a nature preserve across the street. So sitting there, 5 o'clock rolls up, and I look up, and this big six. I was like, there's no way that's him. He lives on the farm a mile down the road. It was him. He came down, he worked the scrape, and there was a spike feeding in front, and he nudged him off, hit this scrape in front of him. Like, this is really about to happen. Comes in, walks down broadside at 30 yards, drilled him. I mean, I felt really, really confident about the shot. I mean, he leg kicked and all that and bolted right past me, up past my grandmother's house. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe this really happened. So I waited hour and a half, got my dog, went out, started tracking, and it was good blood, good blood. And I was like, I'm, a little iffy about this, and I'm going to back out for the night because I was dreading that if he ran down another 80 yards and crossed my street and ran into a nature preserve, I'm screwed. So unfortunately, yeah, I went back the next morning and I found a couple droplets of blood and then my street. And then I'm like, God damn it, he ran across, didn't he? Sure as shit, he ran across because there was blood on a stone and then the water, and then he ran up. So 7 a.m., going out there, I walk across, and a lot of people walk their dogs there. And this is where I couldn't believe this happened. So I'm on blood, I'm on blood, I'm on blood. And then all of a sudden, I hear this lady screaming, Roxy, no. And I'm like, what is going on out there? I look up. The buck that I shot got up with a giant hole in his side. He was pumping blood, and here comes this little poodle chasing my buck. I'm like, God.
Covered in blood.
I was like,
Roxy, no.
Yeah, I'm like, and the lady kept screaming, Roxy, Roxy, Roxy. I'm like, oh my God. So I run out, and these people are like freaked out because, I'm got burrs all over me. I got a stick. They're like, where the hell did this dude come from? So I'm like, hey, did your dog by any chance, kick a deer up? And the husband was like, yeah, this huge buck got up and he ran. He ran down near the creek. So I'm like, okay, cool. I go down near the creek. The buck literally jumped in the water and died and was laying on his side. I felt like I should have bought that dog a giant box of treats because it did me a huge favor.
But some of that venison,
Yeah, and then
really
basically I had to run back home, grab a rope. It was freezing cold water, and then just sucked it up. And like Eric, it was cold. It was not fun. I had to have my buddy come and help me get him out, but I still, I got him. It was a challenge, and he made me work for it.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Crazy story.
That is pretty funny.
It's
So
pretty.
like the dog. You think you would have found him anyways though without the dog?
Yeah, I would have found him because it was really, really thick brush and it was great blood. But I probably would have come up on him and been like, man, he's still there. So I probably would have, let him chill it out. But at the same time, I was like really happy the dog kicked him because a lot of people go through there. And it was nice for me to actually see him dart by. So I knew exactly which direction he went.
We meet again. That dog probably got his heart pumping a lot. That just spilled a lot of blood out of there.
Got him going again.
Oh my God, this dog's gonna
Yeah.
get me. Gets in the water, shock, and then dead.
So
Yeah, it
what
was-
was he? You said he's a big 6-pointer?
Yeah, he's a big 6-pointer. My unfortunately, my neighbor passed away this year, and we had 400-acre farm, and buck behind me I shot there was the biggest buck I ever killed. But this big 6 3 years ago came under me at 15 yards, and I looked down on him and I was like, nah, you might grow a little more. And then I started seeing trail cam pictures of him, and he started getting bigger on his base, way bigger. And then definitely he's 5.5-year-old, 6-year-old buck. So I was like, yeah, it's time for you to go.
Cool, man.
That's exciting. Yeah, and get in that cold water. So I've talked to these guys before. I've been, I don't know why, but I've been taking cold showers for like over a year now. Like I've committed, and it's more of like a mental thing. No, I'm not that badass. I'm not. The whole shower is not freezing cold, but like
I was gonna say,
I will crank it to cold at the end, and I'll go for a minute or 2 minutes.
Oh, see, the truth comes out now.
No, that's the truth. I've said that. I'm not trying to like fake the funk. And
Turn her all the way down to 78.
Yeah, that's cold.
I'm just joking.
and then
It's
I get
lower
out.
than body temperature.
It's freezing, especially in the winter. Like the water does get colder in the winter in those pipes. But so when we did the river thing, it was cold. But I was like, I got this. I do cold showers every day.
It was preparing you for that moment.
Yeah. It's funny that it just, I don't know. I do for the men. There's like all these stupid benefits people talk about. And it's like people I say, it's kind of like you're vegan. You know, the person's vegan because they'll fucking tell you. They're like, that person does cold plunges because they'll tell you. I try not to actually really tell people about this, but it comes up every now and again. This is a pretty natural spot. I'm not like gloating about it, but it is a thing.
What's the hardest part about running 5 marathons? Figuring out how to bring it into every conversation.
It'd probably be said about bagging a nice buck.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part about that book. Finding good ways to talk about it every time I get a chance.
Every time.
Yeah. No, that's exciting, man. It's always nice to have a cool story like that. And it sounds like you got a good group of guys around you too. You go into that deer camp that you went to with like no running water, beds on the floor, no cell reception. Like that is what I think we all aspire to end up going to at some point. Like those types of deer camps are really special because you're forced to connect. You don't, like you go somewhere with cell reception, everyone just kind of at some point at the end of the night, I got to charge my phone. And then they stand and hover in a certain spot, getting sucked into whatever the hell. Oh, look at this buck someone got. Look at this one. Look at that one. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's focus on our camp.
So when are we doing it? I'll chip in. We'll go build a little plywood cabin somewhere.
Why not?
Get her done.
A couple acres surrounded by national forest.
I'll dig the outhouse hole.
Let's go.
Doug and Karen looking for some squatters.
Ooh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, that place gets pretty cold in the winter.
It does.
Woof. So let's talk about some of the meal stuff you do, man, because it really is pretty unique. Like you guys have put on some good meals. I think if anyone's watched the OKS Hunter show on YouTube or Carbon TV, the last episode where the Hunter wives tell all, you guys brought over a smorgasbord of food wrapped in bacon, and you slice loins open and put like cream cheese in there and garlic and all sorts of
I
good
still
stuff.
salivate thinking about the tenderloins he
That was
made.
good.
Those were so good.
All of that food is good, but this is something that you do on like
But if you look at Alex's
daily.
Alex's feed on Instagram, you better not do it when you're hungry. And even if you aren't hungry, you'll be hungry afterwards.
yeah, it's
Like,
just,
where does that come from, man? Just do you have a big appetite?
No, so like I told you guys first time we did it, I was adopted from Mexico when I was 2 weeks old. So I kind of got all the cooking from when I came here. I got adopted into my dad's side's like real hardcore Italians. So like to this day, my grandmom's 88. She'll wake up at like 2 a.m. and make raviolis for no apparent reason. I still don't understand why, but that's what they do. We still do the 7 fishes and all that stuff. And then my grandfather, like when he was alive, taught me how to bow hunt and do all that. And he always said, this is the best meat you'll ever eat. If it's venison, turkey, whatever you're into hunting, it's the best stuff you ever eat. And I kind of took it to heart when I was like, 19 and started really enjoying it. So kind of took my Spanish side, and Italian side and looked at dishes my mama would make, what the Spanish culture would make, and I was like, oh well, they're using beef and chicken, and well, I can use wild turkey and I can use venison, and if I really want, you can use whatever you want wild game wise and just have fun with it.
Yeah, there's no rule.
Nope.
You've definitely done a good job with it. I mean,
I
fun's
appreciate it.
probably an understatement for me because, like, by the way, I didn't know what Seven Fishes was. I just Googled it. The Feast of Seven Fishes is a Italian American celebration of Christmas Eve with dishes of fish and other seafood. I didn't know that.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I feel like that'd be a fun meal to do if you had 7 species of fish.
Yeah,
Do
they
we have
say
7
Let's
species
go
of
fish.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Let's go fishing.
Let's go fishing.
No, like, what's your go-to meal then? Like, it's a little bit more robust than like the standard our go-to, I think, from what I see at least. You add a lot of like that Mexican component that makes it look really, really good and like
so.
colorful. Like, honestly,
I think like I meal prep during the week now, so I use a lot of ground venison just because with my job you're on the go, so ground venison and rice just make it simple during the week. But after working a long week, and I just got a Traeger for Christmas, so that just changed my whole world with cooking and everything. Um, Saturdays are the days that I'll cook. Like this Saturday, I'm going turkey hunting down on the eastern shore of Maryland. And I'm going to make something that I made before, which is pretty epic with a turkey breast, which I can tell you guys because it's one of my favorites. So you get a whole turkey breast from a wild turkey and marinate it with garlic and pineapple juice for 24 hours. And then what you do is bring it out the next day. And if you can in the front, don't cut you cut a slit in it almost. Make sure it goes all the way back. 2 slits right in the front. Go to the grocery store, get 2 poblano peppers, and cut like a box in them. That way the pepper's still whole, and you almost have to take the lid off of it. Then after that, grab yourself some cream cheese and cook some bacon and crumble the bacon inside the cream cheese. After that, take the cream cheese, stuff it in the poblano pepper, and then wrap the pepper in prosciutto and stuff it inside the turkey breast and throw it on the smoker for 3.5 hours.
Prosciutto and bacon, baby.
It's the way to go.
sorry, I'm like
cream cheese and pepper.
I was really
cream
in a
cheese,
different
peppers.
I
It's
was in a
all
different
there.
place just now, guys. I really just kind of wandered off my mind about that for a second.
All the noms you could ever want.
Well, I got a Pit Boss, which is akin to a Traeger, I think. I bought it a few years ago, so I'm sure that all these things have changed and evolved and gotten smarter and stuff. But mine's got this thing where you can expose the flame, which I like, because I can at least crisp things up in there, or I call it kiss of fire. But having that, what I call a smoker for dummies, you set the temperature like you would your oven. The fuel is wood. The wood, flavor that you have is dependent on whatever wood you get, whether it's hickory or competition or applewood, or there's all sorts of different types of wood you can get. And it even tells you, like, if you're cooking poultry, we recommend these ones. If you're cooking this, we recommend these ones. But you can do it how you want. But it's great because you can just throw it in there, put it on smoke and the lowest temperature possible, and it kind of just does its thing.
Yep.
And when you put it on a really low temperature, those wood pellets will last a really long time. But when you're using like a grill like I am lately to cook burgers real hot quick, you're burning through that fuel pretty fast. That auger's just going.
Constant.
Yeah. Just goes.
So yours, that one just burns wood, right? That's the only.
Yeah, that's it.
source?
It's just you have to have it plugged in for
You need
electricity.
electricity to make it work.
Electricity.
That just gets the auger going and gets your panel to see the temperature in of the grill.
So your auger like auto feeds
Mhm.
to
It just
maintain
knows.
the temperature.
Yep.
Nice.
It's pretty intuitive. You don't have to do
Slick.
much. Yeah. Hit start and eventually see smoke billowing out of it, and that's when that's when you're about to make fire. And then fire starts, and then it just kind of does its thing. I don't recommend using whatever brand you buy. It's not like a freaking commercial for like Traeger or something like that, but Traeger, the grill for the outdoorsman. Sorry, I'll stop. But like, if you don't use an off-brand or an alternate brand of wood pellets, because the way that these companies design these things, they're really trying to get you to use their stuff, and like their revenue model is based on you buying fuel. They make a grill sale once. There's some profit margin on that, fine. But where they really make their money is the accessories, the recipe stuff, and then like the fuel source. And if you use a different brand, they make them like a slightly different size, and it'll F up your auger. And I had one where I got Traeger pellets from my pit boss, and they just piled in there, and like all of a sudden there's just wood chips everywhere.
And they wouldn't.
And then it
through?
wouldn't. Yeah, it was overfeeding it. So then, like, I was like, "Why isn't this thing running?" And that was why. Because I went to a store that didn't carry my brand. I'm like, well, whatever. I just need to get
Chips
this
are
going.
chips, right?
Yeah, that's not true. They are not.
Not even
like,
close.
So that was a lesson I learned the hard way a couple of times. It'll eventually fail on you if that's what you're going to do. And it's not a big problem. You're supposed to out your shop vac, vacuum up, and get her going again. But it's a pain in the butt when you're trying to smoke something and all of a sudden it hasn't been working. And you got meat in a hot area, so that's not good.
It doesn't keep your temp up.
Yeah, it's time to bust out the old charcoal Weber, get her done real quick.
Now you're talking.
That's what Greg likes.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
Do you do your salmon on there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do everything on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very effective. I have one of those also.
It works, but nothing else. It's an excuse to sit around and drink beer and watch fire and meat.
Tend to the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Tend to the grill.
Yes, sir.
How much? So yeah, with that Traeger, you're not doing much tending. Like you're not supposed to open it a bunch. You got to kind of like it's like the oven. You got to
same thing. Same thing with the Weber. I mean, smoking salmon or cooking salmon on doesn't take very long. You get enough coal in there, and I throw wet chunks of applewood on it, and I mean, low and slow is better. So if you can keep it around 200, that's great for fish. I mean, you can do it the same with any other meat, I suppose, but it also depends on how thick it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of those king fillets that I bring home from catching out on the lake, those things are a couple inches thick. So low and slow is good, and then all that smoke gets absorbed into the meat, and you let it do its thing.
It does add a lot of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I like about the pit boss is like you do get a lot of good flavor even for a short amount of time. Like, well, it's our go-to for bacon now. Like we don't I don't really cook bacon on the stove because it stinks up the house. So now I'm like, I'll throw it in the outdoor stove or oven, and it's no big deal. And it adds a little bit extra smoke flavor.
You putting it on a cookie sheet with tinfoil then?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. Well, I do have like a rack that I put over a cookie sheet over tinfoil, lay the bacon on top of that. And actually Pit Boss has a bacon tray. It's like this V-shaped thing. And then either side, it's got these trays that collect all the grease. So you just lay your bacon over the top of that, throw it in there, let it do its thing. And then out comes crisp bacon in a bent shape. Yeah.
Bacon teepee.
Yeah, that's right. Bacon teepee, I guess that's probably what it actually be called. Yeah. Well, then you don't get all the grease dripping all over everything. Yeah. Which is nice.
What excitement is that? I mean, everybody likes a good grease fire.
Good grease. I was going to say, yeah. No grease fire. Yeah, I gotta probably
spice things up. Have yourself a little grease fire in the Pit Boss.
Oh God, I've never experienced that yet. I don't want to have that kind of panic.
I've successfully burnt down at least 2 gas grills.
I'm surprised.
Due to a farm raised chicken and the foil failing.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
What's the story on this? I gotta hear this. Let's hear this foil failure.
So apparently the foil was thin tin foil. I must have compromised it while putting it on the grill with the beer can chicken, farm raised chicken, so they're nice and fat and delicious.
Plenty
all
of
excited, lots of dripping going on. So either the failure in the foil might have been the edges, like because the amount of fat and it caved it over. Yeah.
And then it just unleashed a whole
lot of fury. Lots of fury there. Yeah.
I will say cheap foil is not good.
No, it's bad news.
Don't bother getting cheap foil. It's not going to pay off for you. Just get whatever the hell the good stuff is at the grocery store, and you'll just appreciate your life.
The last grill fire resulted in a pulling out of a brand new fire extinguisher from the kitchen closet.
Oh, I've never had to do that before.
Emptying it out. That thing
was a pretty good one.
That baby was billowing. But what a mess that was. It was kind of a shame because that was a nice big chicken. I was pretty excited about it. I think it was one we raised even.
What was its name?
Dinner.
You want to get personal with your chickens,
I mean, my mother-in-law
Audrey.
My mother-in-law and my wife had other names for it.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
They're probably mad about it.
Yeah, my niece forever will have a fear of chickens anytime she sees one because of it.
That's fine.
He was a mean son of a gun.
Calder asked in the comments, I'm curious what spices you put in your ground venison and rice to give it some flavor.
That's a good question.
Oh, what the heck is the brand my dad just bought me? I forget. But like Eric just said, kind of that Traeger has their own spices, and when you buy them, it shows good for poultry and good for ground meat. So I use the one that Traeger has for the ground meat and just put it in there. And then rice is bland as it is. There's really not much you can do with it, unless you add like
Right.
hot sauce or something to it. It's just bland.
Cilantro or I don't know,
Oh
soy
no,
sauce.
no
What
cilantro.
I like to do. I mean, if you're looking for just a general mixture of spices, you can't go wrong with ground black pepper
Hmm.
right out of the grinder. Some
Yep.
salt. You can do however garlic you like, but if you don't have any garlic that you can crush up and put in there, garlic powder, onion powder, if you're not going to mess around with onion. Um, for other herbs, I would say rosemary goes good with venison pretty well. And I think that's probably my favorite. Or you could use oregano even if you want to go more of an Italian flavor, but that goes with a lot of it. It's pretty simple,
I feel like garlic gets overused quite a bit.
but
'cause
there's
it
a
can-
reason for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just does really good with like taking
Yeah.
that gamey flavor.
Or it enhances it. It adds to it.
Enhance. I don't know. I think there's not a lot of wrong you can do. Well, there is a lot of wrong you
There's
can
a
do.
whole lot of wrong.
Apparently,
Let's
you can
be
burn a
honest.
whole-
Probably more wrong.
you can burn a
More
whole
wrong
chicken.
than right.
But like, there's like, if you find a recipe, like you don't have to follow it to the T, or you can ad hoc, like add whatever you think, pinch of this or try a little bit of that or swap this out for that thing. Like, just like you're doing, Alex, you're adding in, well, this says poultry, but I'm going to add wild game, instead or whatever. There's so many good places to get recipes for this stuff. Like I think Meat Eater does a good job. Whatever the main book is that they originally had launched,
Mm-hmm.
is it the Meat Eater cookbook or
Yep.
something?
Meat
Buck
Eater.
Moose.
Well, that's Hank Shaw.
It's a different one. Yeah,
Yep.
that's not a Meat Eater one.
So Hank Shaw does a good job, really good job, and he's even doing classes online now.
It's cool. That and just like honestly, even these grill companies, they're like they have such an appetite to put out content and gather recipes. And they do a pretty good job. You go to like Traeger or you go to Pit Boss or we'll pick your whatever the hell grill.com and go to the recipe page. They have some pretty good recipes that like they've designed to some degree to work with their system. I think one of the better meals I've done on mine was short of smoking stuff was like I did venison meatballs and I did these meatballs that like a meatball sub. And
Oh.
it was incredible. It was just incredible.
That sounds
That
really
was
good.
so
That
good.
sounds so good.
And I got that recipe right off of Pit Boss's website. I just swapped out ground beef for venison because I had some, and wild game meatball sub is delicious. So I mean, have fun with this stuff. We do all this stuff to go hunting. We put all this time in all year round, do all this stuff, but then you get this other period of time where you can really experiment and have fun in the kitchen and like, pay respect to the animal and enjoy the feast that like pursues or whatever the word is I'm looking for. This coffee isn't doing its job. The hell? I feel tired.
I was gonna say blueberries and venison is really good.
I've heard that.
Now, if you had some blueberry bear grease and some blueberries and some venison,
that'd be a little weird. Just straight blueberries and backstraps is delicious.
Blueberries and backstraps. You have to write a cookbook, buddy. You're gonna have to like put something together.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to, but kind of just like
Just
doing
for
my
us.
own thing.
Do it for anybody else.
Well, I was gonna
Just give
say
it
if
to
you
us.
guys, we'll give it like a year out. Come to bear camp in the Allegheny Mountains, and I'll cook anything you want there.
That sounds nice. It's not. I did buy a deer tag for Pennsylvania. It was pretty affordable. Now I get emails all the time from PA Wild Game Department.
PA is pretty affordable to go hunting.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a big deal at all.
No.
Like $200.
I don't even think it was that much.
Less?
No, it wasn't. It was like
I
a
think
buck
it-
and a. I think it was a buck and a quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
might
a
have been under 200
$1.25, and
for
then
an
if you want
non-resident.
if you want a doe tag, I think it's like $32.70 for the doe tag out of state.
That's very reasonable.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah, but the tricky part is finding the spots to go. That's like the trickiest, part about Pennsylvania is find the spot to go. I mean, game lands are awesome. There's a lot of them here, but if you have somebody, like myself who has, private property where you kind of focus all your time on it and you guys come on out, it's kind of worth your while in the end because, more than likely you'll see deer or get a shot on one.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't see shit when I was there, but I don't know.
Public grounds.
Yeah.
It's quite crowded.
Yeah.
I did find someone else's
Pressured.
trail cam. I
Yeah,
remember
no,
walking
it's-
across that. So a photo of me.
Did they get did you show them the moon?
No,
Nah.
I had my saddle on. Which would pain in the butt. I would have done it. It was
There
also
is-
cold and snowing.
There is one hunt you guys should definitely do, which because we were talking about wild game. I leave Thursday to go down to Maryland at Nanacoke Outfitters, my buddy Dave's, to go for turkeys. But this guy's got the holy of holy animal, which I think he's got properties for Sika deer, and that is a
deer.
whole different ball game when it comes to hunting.
That
Yeah,
looks
I
like
don't-
a Sika deer,
A
to be honest.
little bit. It does. Yeah, but the quality of meat, from what I understand, is quite good.
Yeah, I heard it's the best like there is.
It's just based on their diet and stuff, or
It's
their
just
genetic makeup. I don't
Their
know.
genetic makeup, they're just genetically designed to be delicious.
Very salty.
Yeah, there's certain
animal.
cows that are better than other cows to eat.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They're basically mini
is the
elk,
thing.
is what they are.
Yep.
Oh,
That like to wander swamps.
Oh no.
sounds nice. Hard to hunt.
You got to take a boat to get to your tree stand and then watch your step. I fell up to my neck last year because I took a wrong step.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
meet it.
awful.
Yeah, meet at the dock, get on the boat, and get smacked with wind that's cold as hell at 5:30 in the morning, and climb up, and you're still cold. And I think the coolest part about hunting the Sika deer was I didn't get a shot on one, but just hearing how they called because I went during the rut was incredible. The calls and vocalization that they do, it's just nuts.
They sound like mini elk. That's not
Yeah,
elk, but-
it's they sound like it. And then the funniest part was my buddy was in like a blind like 300 yards up, and he sends us a video, and I'm like, is that like someone's dog? It was a Sika deer. They actually swim through the water with their heads up like dogs would, and this thing jumped off, swam across, got back on land, and just kept running.
Wow. Tough little bastards.
Yeah, they're called
That's cool,
swamp ninjas, man. Yeah, they're awesome.
Swamp ninjas. Nice. Well, I'm excited to maybe get a turkey.
Oh
I don't-
yeah. When do you
I
guys
hope that
open?
we've been open.
We've been open, but our season's cut into 6 weeks of 7-day periods. So
Okay.
you apply for a period and a zone, and once you get that, they do open it up to buying leftover tags for other periods and zones, and you can kind of go at it that way, buy extras. Potentially, I don't know, if you did it right, you might be able to get 6 tags here. I don't know of anybody that's ever done it. The most I've ever done is 3, and that was enough work.
Yeah, it's the one thing you got to consider is the amount of work you put in. I don't know. I just would be happy to have that calling experience with them, even if I don't get one. Like,
Just to
that would be-
experience them
yeah.
interacting with decoys and calls and
Mhm.
just watching them do what they do. It's
You
kind of
got-
fun.
yeah, you got yours. You told your story last week.
First season, yeah.
I seen people dropping them. Buddy of mine up in Glenwood City got one. He brought his daughter out, and they got one. They've been after it for a couple of years, actually. Apparently,
Really? That's cool.
yeah. Put a nice little YouTube video out of it. I was watching. I was like, "Oh, look at you! That's great."
Very cool.
It's fun to bring the kids. I think that's a cool one where you can really like bring the kids out if you have a blind and you're comfortable. It's a turkey, so you got to worry about keeping your kids like quiet and still maybe, but seems like a fun.
Blind
way to
would
do
be the way to go with kids. Like,
Yeah.
you could,
Mhm.
have
Unless
them
you're,
play
like,
with something.
unless you're like my buddy's kids where they stick their heads out the windows.
Oh, yeah.
it. What's that?
So you lock them in with that camo mesh.
Yeah. Apparently he had tried, and the attempt was futile.
They broke through. Damn Velcro.
Yeah, they went right through.
Well, Alex, dude, thanks for joining us, man. How do people find your socials and stuff? What where can they go to follow you for more awesome recipes?
I want to see food pics.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can follow me at Alex Ramondo on Instagram, and then I started my own thing right here, BEA Outdoors, behind every. Also find.
It cut out right at the punchline of what you were saying, what you started.
Oh, and then it went back to can't even see you guys.
Yeah, we're here. We're here. What's it that you started now?
BEA.
Yeah. Sorry, it sounds like it did with the I guess tiny voice. Yeah, BEA Outdoors on Instagram.
And what does that stand for?
Behind every arrow outdoors, because you create a new memory behind every arrow that you like out of your bow each year. So it's nice to look back on those. So, kind of something we've been thinking of for a while.
Cool.
I like it. That's
Cool.
awesome. That is a good point, though, too. Literally, like once that arrow leaves the string, it's like memories are being made right now. Like
Hopefully-
good, bad, or indifferent. Like shit's going down.
Mhm.
And maybe not the animal you wanted. But yeah. No, man, thanks for spending time with us on the show and coming back for 2 or 3. I don't know. I'll have to look in the archives and see if it was 2 or 3 so we can be correct on that. I thought it was 3, but
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was a great
I'm
time.
wrong about a lot.
It's always good talking to you guys.
Yeah, likewise,
Absolutely.
buddy. Well, you have a good night, and we're looking forward to seeing more recipes come from you on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Stick in touch, guys, and have a good turkey season, all you guys. And yeah, reach out anytime. I'll send some recipes your way.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks, man.